get into some music news. Let's talk about Jack Harlow. So apparently, Jack Harlow is being dragged out here in these streets because he said something about um black folks and saying his music got blacker, and y'all was in y'all feelings about it. Wait, hold on, because I got to sit and try to find the video. Did it disappear? Oh, I found it. Because I was like, wait, did I lose it? Did I? Okay, so now I gotta find it because I don't know. The one thing I find annoying about Instagram is like if you don't use a thing for long, it keeps refreshing itself, and then you lose your place. So anyway, so Jack Harlow basically has been out of the music game for 3 years, and now he's back with the music. I thought maybe because y'all wasn't checking for him and his music kind of like just died. But no, he's been kind of he's been on a low profile. He's got a new album out called Monica, where he moved on from the pop rap sound that pretty much made him a mainstream star. And now he's gone more into doing R&B and neo soul. So he did this recent interview with the New York Times' Popcast, and the rapper who's from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell's town, and singer also said he's been opted to emphasize his love of R&B while recording Monica rather than delve into genres like country or pop rock, because they were basically saying like, with a lot of these artists out here, particularly Post Malone and Jelly Roll and so many others who started out making music towards black people, taking a lot of what black people's music, just saying black people's music, taking a lot of our music and putting it on y'all stuff, you easily get invited to the cookout because apparently y'all just be giving invitations to every goddamn body instead of vetting them at the door before you give the invitation out. But and then a lot of times they'll go in and they'll show their ass years later, and then they'll align themselves with the very people that are against our own interests. Hence what you've seen with the likes of a Jelly Roll and things of that nature, and a Kid Rock and all these other morons. So he went and did the video. I'm gonna pull it up for y'all to watch so you can hear it from him because I've seen their show before. And we will wait, hold on, that's not it. And we will come back and talk. Please hold.
White rappers are afforded more freedom to change their genre. True or false?
I might have to think about that.
I'd like to hear your answer to Joe's question, but also then talk about what I feel is like the radical twist of what you have chosen.
Well, I'll piggyback off what John's saying. John's saying you didn't retreat into a whiter genre. In fact, you arguably went deeper into
I got
black music.
Yeah.
Deeper into blackness. Yeah. So was that conscious? Was that a little twist on the typical move that white rappers make, which is to retreat back into traditionally white sounds?
It certainly made what I already wanted to do even more appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Because you like pushing that boundary, that line?
I think I love black music. I love the sound of black
Who
music.
among us?
Yeah, I love the sound of black music.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm hyper aware of the politics of today, that safer landing spot that a lot of my white contemporaries have found. And of course, it appealed to me to do something that I felt like at a time when there's plenty of people expecting me to take some of the routes y'all are taking.
Yeah.
To take the route that not only might not be expected, but is also the one I genuinely want to take. So all the stars aligned in that way for me, to be honest. I'm not going to pretend like what you're talking about. I was like, I guess you're right. I knew that there were multiple things appealing about this route, but I also came to the decision, I'm proud to say, off of what feels good in my ear.
White rap.
So I do agree with the question where they were basically saying that yes, white people are afforded the ability to just play genre hopscotch when it comes to the different types of music they want to do or they want to get into. Black people are not afforded that. You already saw when Beyonce wanted to jump in and do country music, how white people lost their goddamn mind, even though country music, the foundation of it was built off of blues and black music. But on the other hand, it is not a dominant genre that a lot of black people do. So in a way, it's like we're trying to remind you of where country music originally stemmed from But we're also, as Black people, a minority in that genre. When it came to rock and roll, Black people created rock and roll. Now it is predominantly white people in that. You see Black people jumping in that space, people get pissed off with that too. So there seems to be a lot of that. They always want to keep Black people in hip hop and R&B and that sort of thing, and that's what we dive into. Then when white people come into these spaces and we invite them to the cookout, they disrespect us. The one thing I will say about Jack Harlow that I love is the fact that he basically shows that, you know what, he loves the genre. He has a love for the genre, even though, yes, it is kind of cringe when you run up there and say, I got blacker. My music got blacker. It feels almost cosplayish, which is why I could see why it rubs a lot of people the wrong way. So, of course, it didn't take long for Harlow's comments to draw a blistering response online, and with many slamming him for cultural appropriation, when I think he should have came at it from a place of cultural appreciation, which I always say there's differences. There's cultural appropriation, there's cultural assimilation, and there's cultural appreciation. And he would have felt more on that point of it should have been appreciation of the genre. It did come across like you were appropriating the culture, but he hasn't been disrespectful to Black people in ways that maybe a Machine Gun Kelly or a Post Malone have been when it comes to, oh, y'all jump on the bandwagon with our music, but then when shit hits the fan, then y'all want to go for that mainstream success, you switch over to more of the white stuff. And then you get your bigger fans that, because I still have those hip hop hits, now it feels good enough for those white people to accept your music, because now you've gone into a genre that more white people would discover your old stuff, discover your new stuff, and don't have to intermingle with too many Black people. So one person said, "God Blacker is wild." Rapper and producer Terrence Punch Henderson Jr., who has worked with Kendrick Lamar and SZA, wrote on Twitter. How exactly does one get blacker? On Instagram, another person wrote, "I don't care what anybody is trying to make. I don't ever want to hear a white man say I got blacker ever again." While others blasted Harlow as Ghostface Vanilla and spelled it like Ghostface Killer. Vanilla, Vanillah. Well, look, I'd rather him be Ghostface Vanilla than Ghostface Vanilla Ice. And the most performative white dude ever. Some pointed out that white performers who have referenced the work of Black musicians without acknowledgement and commended him for being honest about the influence, saying it's a bold move that shows he's committed to authenticity and respecting the roots of the music. So, it'll be interesting to see if his comments will impact the success of the album. But there was some people over in the comments of that video that I showed y'all had some things to say too. One person said the framing of the clip is what's driving the engagement, but they're actually addressing things Black folks have been calling out for years, dipping into Black culture and aesthetics, monetizing it, then leaving when it's convenient while he's doubling down. Another person said this is not an insane thing for three white men to be talking about. And then that person that I said, Saley Williams, that's who I was referencing earlier, said, "Nah, let them have it. Black folks have been saying this for years to limited success." Another person said, "I don't care what point anybody is trying to make. I don't." Oh yeah, that was the one I read. I got blacker ever again. Um, Another person said, "Three white men discussing blackness." Another person said, "The gag is even traditionally white sounds are actually traditionally Black." And I think another thing that people have a problem with is the fact that you have three white people in the room having this conversation, and you don't have any Black folks in there to kind of like steer the conversation. And that's a conversation that needs to be had. I think Jack Harlow also went on Rosenberg, Ebro Lauren Rosenberg. I think he went on their show this week. I wonder if they asked him on this, because you actually have somebody who's Black on that panel. You have Ebro, who is a Black man, half Black, but he's Black, who could probably address those. And nobody goes harder on Black issues and culture than Ebro. So it'd be nice to see if they asked about that. If he went on Charlemagne, you're not going to get much out of them, because them people about as deep as a pond over on that damn channel. And plus, their ratings are dropping because nobody's going over to Netflix to watch the goddamn Breakfast Club. So we all just going to have to just hope for the clips to pop up online somewhere and just rage bait that. And so I wonder if he'll go up on any other places, because if you're going in Black spaces and you're promoting an R&B neo soul album, then I need Black people to go in and really ask them those questions. And I don't need no half stepping. I don't need y'all run up in there trying to be all demure mindful over, what he has said. really go in and be like, that might not have been the smartest thing to say in regards to that situation, because it does make it sound like a bit of cultural appropriation. And I think a lot of times people of color are tired of white people coming in, colonizing our shit, privatizing off it. And maybe he didn't mean anything by it. Maybe it's like I truly believe he loves black music. He loves R&B. He loves hip hop. He loves all the sounds of where that comes from. The problem is, and I think the ones we really need to be windmilling at is the industry as a whole, because there'll be black artists out here who give y'all what you want. Y'all pay them dust, or the industry won't pour a lot of money behind them. But let's get somebody who is racially ambiguous, white adjacent, or plain on white who's doing that same genre, and they will throw all the money behind them to promote that artist, because it's palatable to pick someone who isn't black to put all that money behind it, because the overall racism that goes on in the industry. So it's a lot to unpack with this story. It's very multi-layered, and I'm sure that we will be discussing stuff like this down the road with some other celebrities. So I'll say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story, what Jack Harlow had to say? Do you think people are overreacting, or do you think that maybe he had a slip of the tongue? Or do you think, like, yeah, people have a right to chastise him over a white guy doing black music? Because we've seen this happen time and time again. Too many of you white people come up in here. Y'all act like y'all got good intentions. I'm just speaking in general. I'm not saying this is him. That you come in with your good intentions, and then when the shit hits the fan, then y'all run over there to the white spaces, but you already done pillaged enough of our resources, and now you sharing it with them folks over there. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.